Hey there YouTube, this is Vargas. Still recording not in the Vargas Vault, and just recording something real quick. Maybe it will be quick, I don't know. Personally I'm going through some stuff that I would prefer not to talk about because reasons. But one of the few things I have that I find therapeutic that help me, forget about all the shit in my life for a couple of minutes is recording videos. So, if I lose my train of thought or if I stay quiet for a bit, it's a combination of not getting enough rest and all the crap that's running through my brain. But I don't want to, focus too much on that. I wanted to just sit down, talk about something different. Haven't done any movie, so uploaded the last DVD video today or yesterday, I don't remember. But I don't have anything new to talk about except some news that I found out a couple of days ago. So share my thoughts on this particular subject and clear my mind from stuff. So if you know me or if you follow my channel, something that I used to do a lot that I don't do that much anymore is I play video games, comic books, and all of my hobbies have helped me at certain point in my life to unwind, to distress. It's the hobbies that I love, that I'm passionate about, and although I haven't been able to play video games as often as I used to or as I would like to nowadays, I still like video games. I still like keeping up with video game news and stuff like that. I don't remember if I read a post of it on Facebook. I posted the news of this on Facebook, and I don't remember if I saw it on Facebook and or where I heard about it, but I found it was interesting. But I've been a video gamer since my since when I was a really young kid in the 80s. One year Santa Claus brought for my brother and me NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, and it was really cool when you were a kid and got to see that. It was really awesome because my parents, my dad especially, he liked the new stuff the 80s were providing. Back when he had a good job and could afford buying stuff like that. Then, like everyone at some point in their life, we had a rough patch and couldn't do that anymore. But when I was really young, I remember my dad having ColecoVision, but that was his console. He didn't let us use that much because he thought we might break it. But that year that Santa Claus brought us the NES, my dad helped us install it, and he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna play it so I can test it out, and once I know it's okay for you, then you'll play it." And we were fine with that. He would let us play Duck Hunt because it was the NES action set, so it had Duck Hunt and Super Mario Brothers. So he played Super Mario Brothers until he beat it, but he would let us play Duck Hunt. Once he beat Super Mario Brothers, then he let us play the game, and it changed my life because sharing those moments with my dad, seeing him try to beat the levels and then finally beating the game, that was exciting. Even though me and my brother didn't get to play, but just seeing my dad play, and it was exciting just to see him beat Bowser that last level and saving Princess Peach. It was really cool. And then we didn't have enough money to buy games, so we would rent them. And during the tough times in my life, like comic books, like movies, like everything else that I'm passionate about, they helped me through a tough patch. So I really like video games, and especially Nintendo. I am 100% self-declared Nintendo fanboy. I love Nintendo to death. It's brought me a lot of really good memories. Playing video games, buying the consoles, playing the consoles, a whole bunch of stuff. So I will forever be a fan of Nintendo. And up until I got married, I used to buy, because the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo were brought to us by Santa Claus. Then by the time the 64 came out, I started working, so I saved money, bought that with my brother, and then from there on in, I bought the GameCube, I bought the Wii. The Wii U was a gift from my wife, and I haven't bought the Switch because it's too much. And Game Boys, from the old Game Boy to the 3DS, are consoles that I've owned. I don't own the Switch. I want to get the Switch, but with a wife and all the expenses and 2 kids, I don't see it likely, unless I sell a whole bunch of stuff. But I did get the NES Classic. I bought it once I heard the news that Nintendo was going to stop producing those, so now's my chance. I bought it. And for one of my birthdays, I got the Super Nintendo Classic, which is a mini console released by Nintendo that had a bunch of games pre-installed. And it's a wonderful thing. You connect it, it runs on HDMI, you can play your games on one of those flat screens. I prefer connecting the old console to one of those old tube TVs. But it's portable, it's small, you can plug it into any flat screen TV and you can play NES games. So I love those 2 consoles to death. I didn't get the PlayStation Mini because they stupidly, which is one of the reasons that it killed that mini console, they stupidly released it with the D-pad and not the analog sticks. But idiots that they are at Sony, or whoever was responsible for that release, they released a whole bunch of games that required the analog stick, so that's why it failed miserably, and the game selection wasn't that good. It had 5 good games that I was interested in. But like I said, I've always been a self-proclaimed Nintendo fanboy, and when I was a kid and I was renting NES games with my brother, we had a neighbor that had a Sega Genesis, and sometimes we would go over, he would invite us to his house, because he would rent his parents got for him a game, and we would play games with him. But I always preferred the Super Nintendo. I was never that huge a fan of the Sega Genesis, because I being a Nintendo fanboy, I thought the Super Nintendo was a lot better in graphics and sound, especially. But it had some fun games. The Sonic games were really cool. I really like the Sonic games. And the one game that I will say the Sega Genesis beat the Nintendo version was Mortal Kombat. Nintendo was very iffy with violence. They would not allow violence on their consoles, or at least too much. Nintendo of America, Nintendo Japan was cool, but Nintendo of America was like, oh no, our video games are geared toward kids, so we can't have violence, so no violence. So the consequence was that when Mortal Kombat came out on the Super Nintendo, they took out all the violence. So the blood was, if I remember correctly, like green, and you couldn't do any fatalities. Whereas on the Sega Genesis, you can input a code and you would have all the fatalities and the red blood and everything. So in that instance, the Mortal Kombat 1 was better on the Sega Genesis than on the Super Nintendo. But Nintendo learned their lesson, and by the time Mortal Kombat 2 came out for the Super Nintendo, they left the blood and violence. So, yeah, so I always played Nintendo, and the only Sega console I own is the Dreamcast, and that's only because my brother bought a Dreamcast and he needed cash, so he sold it to me with all the games. So I own a Sega Dreamcast, and it's a very nice console, very cool arcade ports in that. But yeah, been a Nintendo fanboy forever. However, the news that I will eventually get to is that again, I don't remember if I read it somewhere or if I heard about it, but I heard that Sega Genesis, Sega is going to release a Sega Genesis Mini. It's the same concept as the Nintendo and Super Nintendo Mini. It's a little console replicating the Sega Genesis comes with pre-installed game, has HDMI output, so you can play them in any flat screen. And there's already some ports, consoles that resemble Sega Genesis. There's a Sega Genesis one, but that one plugs in with the 3 video cables, the red, white, and yellow video cables. So the image quality is not in HD. So it's cheaper. I've seen them for 40 bucks, stuff like that. I've seen one that's actually pretty cool that comes pre-installed with 80 games. Plus, it has a slot that you can actually insert cartridges. But that's cool. But if you can find Sega Genesis games, the retro market is just insane right now. You can't buy any cheap games like you could 10 years ago. However, this one is exciting because it's gonna cost 80 bucks, and I'm going to show an image of it now. So it's basically a Sega Genesis in a mini version, just like the Super Nintendo Mini, which looks cool. And it has 40 games, and as opposed to the Nintendo Classic only has 30 games. The Super Nintendo only has 25 games, 26 with Star Fox 2, I think. I don't remember, but it has less than that. This has 40 Sega Genesis games. So it's going to cost 80 bucks, just like the Super Nintendo Mini, but it's going to have 40 games and has 2 bonus games that I don't know if it says about. So I looked online and I wanted to talk about that. So 40 games on a mini HDMI console version of the Sega Genesis is pretty cool. The games that come installed here, pre-installed into the console, is going to be Echo the Dolphin. Never played it. Castlevania Bloodlines. I'm interested in that one because I love the Castlevania series. And other than Symphony of the Night, which I played at a neighbor's house, I've never played this Castlevania Bloodlines. I played every other Castlevania game that has ever come out. The Game Boy games, the 3 on Nintendo, the 2 on Super Nintendo, the 2 on N64. The ones that came out on PlayStation, except Symphony of the Night, I never beat that one because I only played it when I went to this neighbor's house. So this is the one Castlevania game I've never played because it was on the Sega Genesis, Castlevania Bloodlines. So I'm interested in playing that. It has Space Harrier 2, Shining Force, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which I have played because it's part of a Sonic collection on the GameCube. ToeJam and Earl, Comic Zone, which looks really cool. It's like this artist that gets sucked into the comic books that he's writing, so he's going through panels, and it looks really cool. I remember a lot of people talking about this back in the day. It's an awesome game on the Sega Genesis. It has Sonic the Hedgehog 1. Altered Beast, which I remember playing on the arcade and on a neighbor's house. Gunstar Heroes, which also heard it's a cool game. Mickey Mouse and Castle of Illusion, and the sequel World of Illusion, starring Donald Duck. It has Turrican Force 3, which is a shmup, and that looks super cool. God damn it. Stupid cookie advert. Because I'm looking at my cell phone and it's showing a stupid cookie thing. I don't like accepting cookies. It has Shinobi 3. Remember playing that at a neighbor's house. Streets of Rage 2. Remember playing that one too. Earthworm Jim, which I have on the Super Nintendo. But this is a cool game. The NES Classic didn't have this, and this one does, so that's pretty cool. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I've played that before. Contra Hard Corps, I love Contra. I also have played every of the console releases for Nintendo. Have not played the Hard Corps. Landstalker, Beyond Oasis, don't know about those. Ghouls and Ghouls and Ghosts. Well, I played Ghosts and Goblins and the one on Super Nintendo, so that looked cool. Alex Kidd, Golden Axe, Phantasy Star 4. I've heard a lot of good things about Phantasy Star. Street Fighter Special Champion Edition, which is different from the one on the Super Nintendo, so that's cool. Mega Man The Wily Wars, that's interesting. I've played all of the Mega Man games, so that's going to be interesting. Sonic Spinball, I've played that one on the collection that's on GameCube. Vector Man also has Vector Man, I've played that too. Wonder Boy in Monster World, never played that. Virtua Fighter 2, the Virtua Fighter series is a really cool arcade fighting series. I think I have played the ones that were released on PlayStation. Alicia Dragoon, nope. Some name I can't see. Columns, so it's a puzzle game. Dynamite Headdy, don't know that one. Strider on the Sega Genesis. That looks cool. Kid Chameleon, Light Crusader. I don't know what that is. Eternal Champions. Remember seeing a lot of ads in comic books for Eternal Champions, but never got a chance to play it. And Road Rash 2. Plus, it's gonna have 2 additional games, which is Tetris and Darius. So cool. Really cool. So it's going to have 42 games, and it's going to come with the Sega Genesis Mini Console, 2 controllers, which is awesome, USB power adapter, the power cable, and the HDMI cable. So yeah, you can pre-order this in Amazon, GameStop, Electronic Boutiques. I don't even know there was anything like that in Canada. Best Buy, Walmart, and Amazon Canada. So yeah, I'm hoping that this will be a lot easier to find than the Nintendo consoles. I'm hoping that people, I want this to succeed because I do want Nintendo to release, to see that there's a market for this and release the Nintendo 64 Mini, which everyone was hoping they would announce, but Nintendo said no, we're not going to release that. And after the abysmal sales from the PlayStation Mini, I'm pretty sure Nintendo was like, see, there's not a market for this, so we're not doing it. But if this sells well, if this does well, I'm hoping that Nintendo will be like, okay, we'll release either, it would be awesome if they would release the Nintendo 64 Mini or a Game Boy Mini thing, you know, something that you can connect on HDMI and have a whole bunch of Game Boy games. That would be awesome. That I would be super happy with that. So I'm hoping this does well, but at the same time I'm hoping I can find one. First of all, that I can save the 80 bucks that it's gonna cost. Secondly, that I'll be able to find one, because when the Nintendo Mini came out, I couldn't find that, and couldn't find that anywhere. The Super Nintendo one, Nintendo learned their mistake and produced enough copies for it to do well, so I was able to find that one. I again got it for a birthday present, and Nintendo re-released the Nintendo Mini, so that's when I bought it. But I'm really hoping that I can get the money together and buy the Sega Genesis Mini, because it looks really cool. 42 games already with that beats the Super Nintendo Mini, which only has like 20. I think it only has 21 games. 20 games, and then the one Star Fox 2. So it's double what the Super Nintendo Mini is doing. It has 42 games as opposed to the 21 games, so it's twice as many games. Same price, has the 2 controllers, and it plays on HDMI. So it's really cool. Really excited for this. I'm really hoping that I can find one, because it's cool. I want to get my kids into old video games, mostly so I can play video games with them. Right now, my daughter really likes the Nintendo games, so that's pretty cool. She doesn't like the Super Nintendo games that much because they're a little bit too complicated for her. But she likes Nintendo, so I'll level her up. So if I can get the Sega Mini Collection, that will be cool, because it's a cool collectible, and it will allow me to have something to play with in my downtime or with my kids. So that's awesome. I really want one of these. But just wanted to make that video share. Not gonna lie, mostly to get my mind out of stuff that's going on personally with me, and talk about something fun, which is video games, since I don't have any movies to talk about. So yeah, hopefully I can get one. If you can find one, definitely would recommend it. It's 42 games. The list of games is really cool. No sports games, which is odd. But the games that it does have are pretty amazing. Would definitely recommend people getting that one if you can. And I'm really hoping Sega releases a bunch of these so a lot of people can find them, and freaking scalpers don't buy them all up and then resell them for 5 times what they cost. I hate that. I hate that. Happened with the Amiibos, happened with the Nintendo Mini, happened with the Super Nintendo Mini, happened with the Switch, happened with the Wii U, happens with video games, happens with everything, and I hate you people, every one of you damn resellers that take it away from fans' hands. I hate you. Anyway, so I hope I can find one, and I hope everyone out there that wants one can find one, and this thing does well, and they release a whole bunch of other mini versions of consoles because they're cool. Also, I also heard that I don't know if you've been to a Walmart, but at Walmart they have these 1UP arcades. They're like mini versions of arcades. Let me see if I can bring one up. Because I just remember that this is gonna be a long video. Arcade. TMNT. Oh, you suck, cell phone. But they released a Mortal Kombat one. They released a Street Fighter one. They released an old console. They're really cool. They're like small-sized arcades, but they're awesome. I've always wanted an arcade console, and I recently found out that they're going to release, and I want this. They're like 200, 300 bucks. This one's probably going to be 300 bucks. But they're going to release in these 1UP arcades. If you can't tell, I'm a fan of the Ninja Turtles. I love the Ninja Turtles. And the 3 arcade, well, other than King of Fighters and Street Fighter, but one of the games I would play the hell out of with my brothers was the Simpsons games, the Simpsons arcade game, the X-Men arcade game, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. And this company, 1UP Arcade, is going to release Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let me focus. Focus. Yes, that focus. Well, we'll Google it. It's an arcade, one of these mini arcades for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Turtles in Time. And me and my brothers played the hell out of this. I've always wanted Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade. This has 2 games. Again, it's pricey as hell. It's 300 bucks. It's probably going to be 300 bucks because it has slots for 4 players, so each one can play as the Turtles. I would lose my mind if I can get 300 bucks together, buy this thing, build it, have my brothers come over and have us play and beat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Turtles in Time. That would blow my freaking mind. But I don't have 300 bucks, and I don't think I'll ever have 300 bucks. But if I win the lottery, or somehow I come across 300 bucks and can buy this, I am so buying it. Yeah, you're pretty like, you idiot, you could probably, I don't know, download these things somewhere else, and it's the experience. It's the experience. Of course, with 300 bucks, I can buy the Switch, so I could probably also think about it that way. But owning a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade cabinet has been my lifelong dream. And Street Fighter arcade cabinet, and King of Fighters arcade cabinet. But arcade cabinets are freaking expensive, like insanely expensive, like $3,000, $3,000, something like that. So for $300, this pretty thing, yeah, if I had the money, I would definitely buy it. So, but just wanted to share this thing because I just saw this and I thought it was amazing. They were showing it at E3 and I thought it looked so beautiful and brought back this whole wave of nostalgia of going to the arcades with my brothers and playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Turtles in Time. And yes, so pretty, so pretty. So yeah, I would play the hell out of it. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I had, the money to blow like that. But yeah, just wanted again to talk about a subject that I like, which is video games in this occasion. If you can find again Sega Genesis Mini, buy it. Just so this does well, and they would release, I don't know, maybe a Dreamcast Mini. That would be cool, or something else. Because I really want the 64 Mini. That I think that would sell so well, and it would be so awesome. And the arcade thing. It's $300. It's a lot of money to blow on something like that, but if I had the money, I would totally do it. Totally, in a heartbeat. Well, obviously, I would have to pay all my debts, buy groceries, pay my bills, like water, electricity. And if after all of that, I still had $300 to blow, well, $385, I would totally do it. I would buy the Sega Genesis Mini and that arcade stick and invite my brothers over and play the hell out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade. If you didn't grow up in the days of the arcade, it might sound weird, but it was a magical time to go play at the arcades. It really was. I miss it. I miss it. Whenever I go to Peter Piper Pizza or something like that, or even Chuck E. Cheese's, I see the arcades and I'm gonna play an arcade game, and it's all about tickets and it's so depressing. But yeah, just wanted to, like I said, talk about something to clear my head and share something that I thought was pretty cool. Maybe you don't think it's as cool. Maybe you don't think a Sega Genesis Mini or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade cabinet is cool. Maybe you do, and if you are, and if you do think it's cool, you are my kind of person. But yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the Sega Genesis Mini. If it's something that you would buy, or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade. Truthfully, I wouldn't have the space for it, but if I had the space for it, I would buy, again, the 1UP has released a Street Fighter 2 arcade cabinet, a Mortal Kombat cabinet, and I would love if they release a King of Fighters one and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So if they release that, that would be amazing. And I would have it like in a game room, but yeah, I would probably have to buy a house just to store everything. But it would be cool, maybe one day I'll win the lottery and I'll buy a big house and just fill it to the brim with movies and video games and comic books. And I would share all that stuff with my kids, and it would be awesome. But yeah, leave a comment, leave a thumbs up. Sorry if I just rambled for however long this video is. Yeah, I apologize for these long videos. I can't seem to make it. I lose my train of thought and then I ramble on, and I can't seem to make them short. But I'll try. I'll try to make them short. Movie John's great at this. Sometimes his videos are like 20 minutes, but because everything he says is interesting. But he can just pump out the 5-minute videos, and I envy him that he could do that. I envy that he could just make a 5-minute video and get a whole bunch of stuff out. And I can't, because one tangent leads to another tangent, and I just make these long ass videos. But if you enjoy these long ass videos, thank you. If not, sorry. But there was a lot that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, I'm gonna shut up now. Thanks so much for watching, and until I see you all again, this was Vargas, recording still not in the Vargas vault. But thanking you all for hearing this old crazy man just vent about video games. And I'm signing out.